Hello and welcome. Today I want to talk about the Nitecore NU35 headlamp. Here we have the box. I've already opened it and used it for 2 weeks. It comes with a USB-C cable, and now pictured here is a plastic bag with a rubber gasket, as we can see here on the light. So they give you an extra gasket in case this one wears out. As you can already tell, this light runs on AAA batteries and/or its internal lithium battery inside the light itself. This is a hybrid lamp from Nitecore. It doesn't come with AAA batteries. You have to supply that by yourself. The light overall is a pretty decent light from what I use it for and my needs. On the top here you can see it has protective guard for the buttons. On the side we have a USB-C input port, which our USB-C cable plugs into. On the bottom is the hinges. On the other side there's nothing, and then on the rear we have the plate with the strap. This comes with a sort of a nice resistant rubber clear material that's been impregnated with the headband, and as you can see the headband's a little bit porous, so it allows sweat and air to vent through. It's a very easy headband to adjust. In the front here we can see the Cree XP-G3 S3 LED emitter, which is the primary emitter on this light. Then we have 2 auxiliary whites, high CR white LEDs, and then we have 2 red LEDs as well for night vision or maintaining night vision or reduced lighting at night. For my uses, this light, the TIR reflective optic, it does a good job at throwing to a moderate distance, but it's still very soft and diffused compared to, say, some other headlamps that I might have versus, say, a Nitecore NU17, which has a little bit more throw. So that's one thing I noticed a little bit different with this light compared to the other Nitecore that I have. Overall though, it's a very nice light. Its UI functions almost just like the NU17 that I have. Like the NU17, we have a right side button and a left side button. This controls our regular LEDs. To cycle through it, you push once, push again, and then it cycles through the modes here. There's 4 different modes on here. Starting with low, we have it for 1 lumen on the lithium ion internal battery, which will run 170 hours. And once you leave it on for about 3 seconds, it'll turn off if you push the button. So you have to push it on and cycle through. Mid's going to be about 38 lumens for 7 hours and 45 minutes. High is going to be about 210 lumens for 4 hours. And then finally we have turbo mode at 460 lumens for 15 minutes. To access the high CRI LEDs, we're going to hold down and push, and we have the 2 high CRI LEDs on the side here. Now these will run for approximately 7 hours at 22 lumens. To access the Sos and Beacon modes, you'll have to hold down again, cycle through this, and then it goes into SOS mode, the primary LED. Push once while it's in this mode to access the strobe mode. Push once again and you'll turn it off. The red side, push once for the low, and this will run for about 2 lumens for 32 hours. Push again, and then you get 12 lumens for 5 hours. Push one more time, and you will get a blinking, flashing warning red for 10 hours. So I find this one very useful for when I'm walking around the neighborhood or the lake near my house, and I have this on the back of my backpack. It shows up pretty brightly in the daytime and even more at night or any kind of dark conditions. So a very useful function on this headlamp. The faceplate is pretty tough. As mentioned before, we have a guard in case any accidental activations might happen against an object pushing against your light. With enough pressure though, it can turn on the light, but you really have to push it. So this is not 100% proof, but it does a good job at resisting accidental activations by guarding the buttons. The light bends in an almost 90-degree manner, slightly a little less than that, which is more than adequate for my needs in using a headlamp. The weight, I don't have the weight offhand, but it is light enough for my head. I think we have it here as 79.5 grams think that's with the AAA batteries not included. So you're looking at maybe 125 grams approximately with 3 nickel metal hydride chemistry batteries inside. I don't know what the alkaline weight's going to be. So it depends on what you want to run this with. Now, stated before, this runs on 3 AAA batteries and the lithium ion batteries. When these batteries die inside here, it will not switch over automatically. You have to physically take out your AAA batteries and then it will operate on the lithium ion internal battery. There's one more thing that we have on here that can measure the charge status of the internal battery. And that's holding down the red side button and you see the blinking LEDs there. That's going to indicate the charge level. 3 blinks is over 50%, 2 blinks is about 50% or less, and then 1 blink is about 10% or less. So that's a nice little thing to include for a small type of battery meter for the internal battery. Whether to know if you need it to charge it or not. We'll go over charging a little bit later, but we're going to get some beam shots here in a moment. We're back shooting in an aperture of 7.1. Frames is 24 frames per second at an ISO of 400 with a white balance of 5500 on a Panasonic GH2. We have the light here on low mode, medium mode, high mode, turbo mode, CRI auxiliaries, red on low, red on high. Let's go ahead and do that from the top of the table here, about a foot off. This is on low mode right now. This is medium mode, high mode, turbo mode, high CRI mode. You can tell the difference on the color temperature here. Switching to red mode, low, red mode, high. Here we can see the headlamp being charged via the USB-C port and the provided cable, and we have the current and voltage that it's pulling from a battery source. Currently we're charging at about 160 to 170 milliamps, and we have a current output of about 5 volts. And you can also see in here there's a red LED that's on right now, indicating that it's taking a charge. This will change to green when it's fully charged. Alright, we're back shooting at an aperture of 3.5, 24 frames per second. ISO is 2500 with a white balance of 5500 Kelvin on a Panasonic GH2. This is on low mode with the primary LED, about 1 foot in front of the camera. This is medium mode. And this is high mode. You can see a little bit in front of the camera there on the bottom what high mode can do. Let's go to turbo on the primary LED and out in the distance. Let's go ahead and do the high CRI. You can see the color renders a little bit better there. It's a lot warmer in tint. This is the red low. Red high. Okay, we're going to do a walking test here. I'm going to set this on high mode and walk out. We're at the edge of the property here, at about 60 feet out. This is on high mode. This is low. Medium. High again. And then we're on turbo. High CRI. red low, red high. I'm going to keep this on high and walk back. This is on low mode, main LED. This is on medium mode. And this is on high mode. And as you can see, there's a rock in front of us, about 7 feet out. And this will be on turbo mode. So very bright. You can kind of see the garden area on the right there, or what's left of it, about 10 feet out on the right side. We have a tree there on top, which is about 15 feet out. So again, this light doesn't do the best throwing out of the headlamps that I have, but it illuminates such a wide swath with its TIR reflective optic inside. Let's go to high CRI here. And as you can see, it's a totally different color and tone. Let's switch over to the red low. There's my hand there. Now let's do red high. It's a little bit brighter. Great for night vision. We're going to do a water test here with running water on the headlamp to test the waterproof rating. We got the high CRI engaged. We have all the gaskets closed, including the AAA one. Let's go ahead and put it in the water to simulate the rain. So as you can see, more than adequate for running in the rain or operating in wet conditions. Some final thoughts on the NU35 9-core headlamp. Overall, I like the design, the run times, and the options that it comes with. For example, the USB-C charging port is an upgrade from the NU17, which is a micro USB charging port. Micro USBs tend to be more fragile and break easily. The USB-C is a little bit more resilient in that sense, so that's a good upgrade. I do enjoy the diffused frosted lens on this one. I think that offers a good amount of diffusion and color rendering without artifacts. This is important, especially if I'm drawing and I need to use a headlamp for the angle of light of which I'm drawing at. It helps me draw better and color better in my art and illustrations. Although that's more of a niche thing. Overall, it does a good job at close work for lighting, color rendering, and a moderate job at distance throwing. This, again, this LED TIR optic on the center LED here doesn't throw the farthest compared to the other headlamps that I have, but it does an adequate job of lighting up the area and going a moderate distance. The red LEDs are very nice, very bright, very functional and practical for my uses in daylight and in stormy and or nighttime conditions. So this is something that I usually take with me with my backpack. I string it on the backpack on the back, and I put on the blinking red mode, and it works fine for signaling devices as far as alerting people to where my position is. The guard on top is good, even though it doesn't fully protect it from turning on. It gives a good amount of resistance. The 80-degree angle turn locks in different sections, which I personally enjoy. I don't know how much time it'll take to wear out those joints, but I think it'll last quite a while, and it doesn't move or change position, which I really like. The latch and the AAA accessing is a bit tough. There's a little bit of finessing once you get used to opening up the top here. I think they could maybe make a better seal for this that's a little bit more resistant to wear and tear. I think the hybrid power option is a great option, so that when the internal battery dies or stops working, you can probably, I would guess, still use this headlamp with the 3 AAA batteries inside. This one's a nickel metal hydride right now, so that's another bonus. So in the field you can replace the batteries and keep running if you can't charge this for whatever reason. Overall, some improvements I would like to see is probably a better guard on top, a better input-output method of the batteries here, and a removable internal battery that you can replace once the battery dies. So you can have fully modular light, in my opinion. These are minor concerns though, just my personal preferences, so take it with a grain of salt. Overall, I think the Nitecore NU35 is a good headlamp, and I probably would recommend to anybody who's looking for a decent, sturdy IP66 waterproof headlamp. Thanks for watching.